Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Arise News analyst, Emmanuel Efene. Great Malabite, good morning.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Yes, Ayo is on a well-deserved vacation. Now, we'll start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record, starting with the window story above the masthead. Lokobiri will hold NNPCL accountable for complete rehabilitation of all refineries by 2024. May cancel licenses of modular refineries not in use. Targets 2 million barrels per day before end of 2023. Yes, one of the fallout of the ministerial retreat is ministers now not only taking charge, but also setting targets and perhaps also issuing threats to agencies under their watch. And the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Henneken Lokobiri, there making his own. Of course, the president will hold him responsible as he has promised, and he's saying that the government will hold NNPCL accountable for the completion of the rehabilitation of all 4 refineries under the NNPCL. Well, the easy part of ministerial duties is to set targets. The difficult part is to meet those targets as advertised. So the minister promising that by the end of 2023, just less than 2 months, crude oil production will be ramped up to 2 million barrels per day. We'll need to see, well, what will be done differently, how oil theft will be curbed to the extent that we'll be able to achieve this target. Now, the lead story, Fitch, Nigeria's credit rating stable, predicts inflation at below 21%. Forecast oil production to reach 1.8 million barrels per day by 2024. The minister is saying we'll get to 2 million barrels by the end of 2023. Cardoso vows to change central bank narrative, declares CBN policies aimed at improving lives. Sanusi urges Apex Bank to fight inflation. Of course, the global rating agency Fitch has affirmed Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default outlook at B- with a stable outlook, listing the country's major strengths as large economy, developed and liquid domestic debt market, and of course, large oil and gas deposit. Now, it's saying there are challenges also. While Fitch acknowledged the steps taken by the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the area of removal of subsidy on petroleum products and, of course, the reform of the foreign exchange rate system, well, it stated that its rating is constrained by weak governance, structurally very low non-oil revenue, high hydrocarbon dependence, low net foreign exchange rate framework. Well, the ratings are there. I'm sure the CBN governor also in that report stating clearly his goals, vying to change the central bank narratives, but how it affects the lives by, of course, ensuring that its policies affect the lives of, improve the lives of average all Nigerians. Of course, that we had that promise in the last administration of the CBN. Godwin Emefiele had that in mind, hence he delved into other areas of the economy, agriculture, manufacturing, all to improve the lives of Nigerians. But the CBN governor, Yemi Cardoso, has a different style, and we'll see his style as it unfolds, whether it addresses the problem. He predicts inflation, will fight inflation, but what we're seeing in the market with the Naira doing yo-yo. But of course, there was improvement over the weekend on the value of the naira. The Vanguard newspaper also reporting CBN Governor Cardozo vows to fight inflation to focus on core mandate of price stability. Inflation has had massive impact on lives of Nigerians. Lamido Sanusi, yes, former CBN governor, making that statement there. Now, below the photograph, yes, forex gains. Banks' profit ballooned by 156% to 2.3 trillion naira. Of course, the other side of the devaluation of the naira. But the Daily Trust is also looking at another angle. Devaluation, the Daily Trust newspaper, devaluation pushes Nigeria's debt to 89.2 trillion naira as debt stock raised by 20.6 trillion naira in 5 months. Each Nigerian owing 418,779 naira. That's the debt overhang on each Nigerian. Well, well, don't be scared. Now, the Guardian newspaper reporting corruption, defiance to laws cost investors 1 trillion naira in property loss. Yes, a lot of investors in that area. And the story is saying that more than 300 billion naira worth of structures may still go down by way of demolition because they have not followed laid down rules. Demolition, a huge economic waste, says experts. Obey physical planning laws, government tells developers, residents. But government must also look at its agencies because more often than not, these developers in their illegality get approval from government agencies after doing 1 or 2 things under the table. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, Senate moves to shield REC appointees from impending court injunction to transmit 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget to Tinubu. Of course, the hue and cry about resident electoral commissioners who were appointed, some who are card-carrying members of the ruling party. I hope President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will heed the hue and cry about this anomaly and perhaps withdraw those guys and present people who are not politically aligned as resident electoral commissioners. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, Labour adamant on strike over Ajero. NEC meets tomorrow to take decision. Flays Imo government urges presidency to intervene. His Labour Party member Onochie, well, the Ajero issue is still a blight, attacking Labour leader who was about to embark on a peaceful protest. Now, the Punch newspaper, off-season governorship polls, 220 police patrol vehicles deployed in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa. Inspector General of Police to complete deployment by Friday to redeploy Imo CP before polls. Yes, the Imo CP has been at the center of controversy, being accused of already taking sides, being working for the governor, who is also a candidate in the election. Egbetokun bars VIP escorts orders personnel to curb vote buying violence. Now, the Abuja Inquirer is reporting 43% of Nigerian children unregistered. The Abuja Inquirer at birth. 43% of Nigerian children unregistered at birth. UNICEF is making that, giving that report. Not records lowest registration. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. I just take the Guardian newspaper of UK. The Guardian newspaper of UK. Israeli strikes on Gaza intensify as violence on Lebanon border flares. Ruben and Rufai.
I mean, so there are a couple of things I'd like to talk about. Number one, that Fitch report. And I'm happy you enunciated some part of the Fitch report. It talked about, one, the fact that, yes, Nigeria is replete with a lot of potential, rich in gas, you know, rich in energy, big economy. There's so much we can do. But he also talks about weak government, weak governance.
With governance, yeah.
All right, as regards these issues. It also talks about Nigeria having so much potential and not harnessing it. It talks about security. It talks about other legacy issues. Then it further talks about the fact that the depressed state of our economy, vis-a-vis what we even have in our reserves. It also talks about us backtracking on many policies, even as regards the currency. Today now we are defending because we need to find some balance to the naira. It also went further to say that, okay, yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we must do more. And most importantly, the fact that we're not collecting enough revenue from non-oil receipts. So it just shows us a picture of where we ought to be and where we are currently. All those things Fitch talked about are potentials. But you can't run a country based on potential. So what are the actions we should take? Number one, diversification and how we can increase revenue on non-oil sectors to be able to show up our economy. Number two, unlocking the rich potential in gas. We just talk about the immense potential we have in gas, but we've not been able to unlock it. I'm happy about the Presidential Gas Initiative, but we must be able to do more to be able to unlock the potential. It also talked about the need for growing our service industry. There's so much we can do there. So I want us to take this Fitch report and read effectively.
Well, very quickly, I think it's a good development that the Inspector General of Police has taken the decision to redeploy a police commissioner in Imo State, under whose watch Joe Ajaero, the president of the NLC, and other labor leaders were brutalized on November 3. Now, one of the demands by organized labor was that they will go on strike by November 8 if that particular police commissioner was not redeployed. So it's good that he has been redeployed. But CP Bade, I alluded to it, I later confirmed it. This was the same commissioner of police in Adamawa State that, played a role in that gubernatorial election and all of that. And people raised concerns about, his performance in that election. Now, the same man in Imo State has been fingered in, politically motivated issues in Imo State. So ahead of the election on Saturday, it's a good thing that he has been redeployed. And we hope that wherever he's going to, the Inspector General of Police will make sure that, he doesn't attract any further controversy in that place. Another demand by labor was that the policemen who had their hand in the brutalization of Joe Ajaero should be identified and also sanctioned, because there were policemen who said, oh, they took him into protective custody. Labor is saying those policemen too didn't act professionally. So while the commissioner may be redeployed, how about the other policemen? The third demand that organized labor raised is that President Tinubu should call Governor Opuzodinma to order. Well, the Imo State authorities have said they had no hand in it, and asking the president to be calling governors to order, that gives the president the profile of a headmaster. He's not a headmaster, so but the state government also should find a way of reconciling with labor in that state. Maybe all of this will then dissuade NLC and TUC from going on strike on Wednesday to protest, the assault on Joe Ajaero. Finally, the nightmare in Gaza continues, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that until the Israeli hostages are released, the assault on Gaza will continue. Well, we hope that the international community will continue to persuade him to agree to a ceasefire. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.